Well, greetings again, everyone. I want to give you guys a little bit of something here on the channel because it's been a couple of weeks since the last thing I posted because I've been dealing with this new retro video series episode documenting kind of the early VHS and Laserdisc releases of the original Star Wars trilogy. So from like 82 up to 95, all the pre-special edition stuff, which is extremely extensive, very exhaustive, and requires a lot of video prep work, which is still ongoing. So need to find something I could actually get up on doing here, and I figure, well, there's a little bit of Blu-ray news out there, and I could tack on at the end of this whole thing a list of things I kind of hope for that will get upgrades or better treatments on HD format. So I figure combo this stuff together and give you a nice lengthy video here, which is hopefully going to be pretty concise this time. So starting off first is that Paramount, through Dimension Films, is giving us Scream 2 on 4K in September, on the 13th, I believe it is. Now, obviously, they put out the original Scream last year, put out on 4K with a Steelbook as well, in anticipation for the release of the sort of semi-quasi reboot type of thing that was still just a regular sequel, which is also titled Scream, which is like the next Scream sequel. It's going to be called Scream 2, and make everyone completely confused, a living hell, talking about anything of this franchise whatsoever. But they're putting out Scream 2, the proper one from 1997, out on 4K. There's going to be a combo pack. Unlike the first film, they're going back with combo packs now because they've had this weird goddamn thing with Paramount, where when they put out the first Scream film on 4K, it was just a 4K disc. No combo pack here in the US. UK, a little bit more of a caveat in that regard, but in the US, you just got a 4K disc where they got the slipcover version or the Steelbook version. But when they put out the 2022 film, regular version is still just the regular 4K disc, but if you got the Steelbook, then you got the combo pack. Paramount's been kind of waffling back and forth about this whole damn thing. Originally, they did combo packs, then they changed the policy this year. It's like, okay, if you get the Steelbook version, you'll get the 4K and the regular 1080p disc. And so it's been creating a lot of things for collectors, driving them mad, because like I get Beverly Hills Cop on 4K, which has a combo pack, but then they put out Beverly Hills Cop 2 this year on 4K, and all you get is the regular version, still with none of the bonus features from the old DVD, which I still now have because they won't port over the damn features. That's another rant. So it seems like they're probably going back to combo packs now, but it's all just really confusing type of stuff. But it's unknown right now. There's been no specs released. We know nothing about what's going to be included on the disc. Hopefully it's probably all the same features that are on the previous releases and just put on here with the new Dolby Vision and all that type of stuff. But we don't know if the 1080p disc involved with this thing is going to be remastered or not. We have no clue because there's been no announcement of just like a standalone 4K remaster, standalone 1080p remaster from the 4K deal here. All the scan and whatnot, it's all very confusing. It's all very confusing. You got a freaking reboot that has the same name as the original film, despite the fact that it's all still in the same continuity. Now the sequel to the reboot's going to be called Scream 2, despite the fact that it should just be called Scream 6. The whole thing's confusing. Too many numbers. So, regardless, Scream 2 from 1987 getting a 4K remaster on UHD disc in September. Will be a combo pack. We don't know specs about anything yet. That's all we know. So we do know something about is that Criterion Collection, along with all the stuff they're putting out in October, putting out Night of the Living Dead on an upgrade to 4K. Probably going to have all the exact same features. We haven't got any, like, proper, like, art reveal or anything like that, but probably going to be the same thing they put out a couple years ago, which they did an incredible job with. Had a little input from George Romero shortly before he passed, so there was an approval process with him on that. But now they're just going to give it, like, an HDR grade and a 4K disc and all that type of stuff. So if you're a Criterion fiend, I'm sure you will grab that up for your horror collection. Now, something I did mention on the last thing was that Imprint Films was putting out this nice Walter Hill box set with The Driver included on it, which is not available in the US. We had one Twilight Time release several years ago, went out of print real fast. Nothing since. But StudioCanal in the UK is working on a 4K remaster of the film to be put out on a 4K disc, but they're just a UK distributor at this point in time. Nowhere on anything stateside, but you'll probably be able to import it just fine. It'll probably be region-free. Hopefully. Should be. 4K discs, like 99.9% of all 4K discs are region-free. So hopefully they'll be the same as anything else. You don't have to worry about it, but I think it's just a fantastic film. Brewster and Ryan O'Neal, Isabella Johnny, Walter Hill, just an amazing type of thing on that whole film. It's probably something like Nicholas Winding's Drive and stuff like that. So, awesome film. Definitely need to see that whenever you get the chance. I think it's incredible. I did a video on it several years ago. Go check it out. But that's kind of cool. It's undated right now, but they have it down. There's been like a Amazon France listing or something like that saying, here it's coming. I think it might be a Steelbook. Might be. StudioCanal was popped for a Steelbook, sure. So that's coming out eventually, and hopefully maybe there'll be a stateside distributor on that whole thing. We don't know. It's been previously distributed by 20th Century Fox, which now be Disney, but I don't know where anything else is landing right now. But 310 to Yuma, the James Mangold remake with Christian Bale and Russell Crowe, is getting a Lionsgate 4K Steelbook release. Going to have DTS X audio. So they're giving it an upgrade on that regard. Not something Lionsgate typically does so much. But they're doing that, got an HDR presentation. They got audio commentary, featurettes, making of documentaries, and deleted scenes. Now this is from like when it was coming out in 2007, I was like, man, I really want to see that. But I was in the middle of the lengthy production on my movie The Fixer, and I just had no time to go see it. I've never seen it. I really should see it. I don't see a lot of Westerns, but when something strikes my chord, it's got some really good talent with it, I'd probably eventually see it. So this might be a good time. If it's getting 4K remaster, I know James Mangold did a tweet. It's like, you'd be up for a Copland 4K remaster if Paramount's interested. So that's one of his heralded films. He's been doing great stuff since then, up to Logan and Ford v Ferrari. He's doing the new Indiana Jones film. I think all that stuff is in really good hands. I think he's a really solid, fantastic director. Awesome stuff he keeps churning out. I love his stuff. Great. So maybe I'll check that out eventually. But in regards to that, got some KINO LORBER stuff. Now, they've been doing some licenses over from Paramount, and one of them first announced was Tropic Thunder. Now, the big thing is, on this whole thing, they're going to have both versions of the film, theatrical and director's cut, but despite the fact they've announced that there are 4K remasters done for both of them, only the theatrical cut is getting a 4K disc with a Dolby Vision master. The director's cut, all this approved by Ben Stiller, who directed the film, did a 4K remaster for both versions. But his director's cut is only getting the regular 1080p Blu-ray release. Theatrical cut is getting the 4K disc. A lot of contention there on the whole thing because I think they only released I keep getting my stuff mixed up. The only Blu-ray that's been released so far has been the director's cut only. I think you had to get the theatrical on DVD, which I don't own. I only bought it with the director's cut. Going back and forth about which version they prefer, I don't know. It's a little wonky. You say you have a 4K master of both of them, but you're only putting one of them on a 4K disc. It just seems a little unexciting in that regard. A lot of people are saying, like, oh, if you don't even have an HDR grade for it, just like put it out on standard dynamic range, what they have done for KINO LORBER. I think they did that for a couple of Westerns. I think they did that for some of the Sergio Leone, Clint Eastwood stuff. They just did a SDR grade and still got a lot of great marks for it. So a little dodgy on that whole announcement. There's a little contentious. But that is coming up on September 13th for KINO LORBER. They're going to have all the commentaries, the production featurettes, and the deleted scenes, all these wonderful things with 2.0 and 5.1 surround lossless audio. So they're going to have all that type of stuff. And so you're going to get everything, just maybe not quite as much as you wanted if you wanted both things in 4K. Little on that whole thing. Something else they also are putting out 4K Dolby Vision Master is in Bruges. That wonderful Colin Farrell comedy that had a lot of acclaim back in the day. Definitely getting that upgrade. So they're definitely giving it the time of day with a brand new grade and transfer supervised by the film's cinematographer. Putting out on September 27th. It's going to have featurettes, gag reels, deleted scenes, EPK interviews, and stuff like that. Same thing with the audio, losses for stereo and 5.1. So definitely be able to get that if you're interested on that whole film. But last thing I'm talking about in terms of like the Blu-ray news stuff. But it's a pretty meaty one, pretty cool one. A lot of people have been sharing it around, but Fright Night, original one from Tom Holland with Wonderful Chris Sarandon and all these other grand people. William Ragsdale, Roddy McDowall, awesome freaking cast, is getting that 4K treatment from Sony. And they're giving us Steelbook as well. That is coming out on October 4th. Now this is just like, they're going like beyond the extra mile. Sony is really going all out with their 4K stuff. Like, not only do they do great transfers, great whole grades for the whole thing, and when they do stuff like the Dracula one they're putting out for Bram Stoker, Francis Ford Coppola, the new Karate Kid box set they put out last year, giving them all like Dolby Vision upgrades. So if they only put them out before, they were just HDR10. Now they're going further with Dolby Vision grades and new bonus features, stuff like that. This is no exception. They're putting everything that you already have on the existing Blu-ray, which is tons of stuff. Bunch of commentaries, featurettes, awesome stuff. Now they're putting in new deleted scene storyboards, a new spec trailer that was put together by the director, I think the director and the writer, which is like probably like a concept trailer they did back in the day for the thing, which has never been released before. Then you got a 35th anniversary script read, with probably like the whole cast or whatnot. The Queer Lens, Brian Fuller in conversation with Amanda Beers, who is a lesbian actress and stuff like that, been very much out in the open for a long time, but it's going to be an interesting approach to everything in that regard. There is dedicating time to that. And an entire feature dedicated to the novelization of the film. And some new special effects storyboard comparisons. Like, on top of everything they already have, they're not just putting like almost double as much stuff. Like, it's insane. This is going to be a 3-disc set. 4K and 2 Blu-rays on just to pack all this shit in here. You can't ask for anything more. There's already more than you already would have asked for. Pack it in so tight with Atmos and Dolby Vision. Going all out, man. There's not an inch more they could go out with this thing. I can't imagine it. Going from the old freaking bare bones DVD I had, now we're getting this just smorgasbord of incredible stuff on this release. Steelbook, and probably going to get a regular slipcase version as well, but the Steelbook one's the one that's been circulating in the news and stuff like that. But that's awesome. That's really fucking great. I haven't gone through the fucking Blu-ray I have. Now I'm going to have to prospectively upgrade before I even really have much of a time for it. Awesome, but I met Chris Sarandon a couple of years ago at a horror convention. Really nice guy. I sat in on one of his panels. He thought the script for Fright Night was one of the best things he ever read. He had a wonderful time on the entire set. I mean, him as Jared Dantress is just absolutely magnificent. Unfortunately, my friend Steve Fraser is not a fan of the film, so we won't be doing any commentaries for it. But you can check out my own review for the film several years ago, which I did after I already had attended that panel, so I had a little extra information to give that was a little more fresh than I have right now. So you can check at the end of the video or links below to find that review. But that's the last of the news I have. So here we go on the things that, like, there's certain titles like I've been like debating about, like, oh, do I want to do like a retro video series on this? But it's like, what am I really saying to fill up an entire episode on the whole thing? Stuff that I'm not like reiterating from other stuff that's kind of related to it in certain places, like some stuff that James Cameron has a say in because there's a light storm production and he's kind of like fussy about different things with the rights of stuff. We're going to get into little things here. So a little bit of things here. That top of my list is The Prophecy, the 1995 Christopher Walken film from writer-director Gregory Wyden, who gave us Highlander and also wrote Backdraft. This film, I love this film. I've loved this film for so long. Elias Koteas, Virginia Madsen, Viggo Mortensen, this whole thing. It's an incredible film. Really, goddamn, I just love this film. But the transfer of this thing settled with is fucking garbage. And look, I swear to Christ, this has to be from a Laserdisc. And they put it on Blu-ray. And it looks terrible. It looks so bad. It's just like, I have the original non-anamorphic version that I like, okay, a couple of years ago, I was like, let me see, Echo Bridge put out an anamorphic version. It's like, it's a marginal fucking upgrade. Just like marginal as living hell. It's just like, it looks bad. It looks so analog and so washed out. There's no detail. There's no quality to it at all. I just want a nice, solid, even just a 2K version of this thing. I think this is a perfect title to get over to like Scream Factory or even Arrow or something like that. Do a really nice job. I think you definitely get Gregory Wyden. I've heard some interviews from him. He's done interviews on stuff about Highlander and his own career. Talked a little bit of The Prophecy in some place. He would definitely sit down for an interview or even a commentary. I'm sure Virginia Madsen she's shown up at horror conventions. I've been at conventions she's been at. I'm sure she would sit down and talk about it in an instant. I'm sure she talked plenty about Candyman on the sets they put out. I think you could definitely get some stuff on that. You get some stuff with maybe some special effects guys. Who knows what it is? But there's a lot of stuff that you could really do with this film that could make it look really, really good, because cinematography is wonderful in the whole film. I've always praised the cinematography in this film. It looks wonderful. I love this stuff. But it's just like, it just looks so bad right now. Every time I see it and stuff like that. I did a video on the trilogy a lot of years ago. I kind of fell out of favor with that video and kind of like it's not quite available anymore. I just chose, it's not very good. I really don't like that video anymore. I really want to do a brand new video covering at least the first Prophecy film, but not from the transfers that are available right now. They look really fucking awful. In fact, they tried to put this thing out on Blu-ray and it just looks terrible. The sequels look fine. They're perfectly serviceable transfers. They don't really need that much, but they wanted to go the full thing and give them all 2K transfers. I don't need a 4K version. I just need a good-looking transfer for this whole thing to make me happy. Give me a couple interviews, stuff like that. I'll be perfectly happy, because it's a really good film that needs a little electric traction, because it looks terrible. It's not going to get any new fans looking the way it does right now, I'll tell you that much. Not a chance in living hell. But moving on to some other stuff here I have on my list is that kind of going studio by studio here, because since Prophecy was the mentioned films, but now Paramount is handling that catalog. So we're talking about another Paramount title here in terms of also another Walter Hill film in terms of The Warriors. Now the theatrical cut needs a freaking Blu-ray release. Now I know Imprint Films in Australia has recently put one out. Was probably sourced from a very old transfer. I don't think it's all that much different of a transfer than the director's cut one, but I just think it needs a preservation because it's such a good film, such a immensely popular cult film, so good of a film it is. The fact that Paramount's already done 40 hours, another 40 hours, giving them 4K transfers on the Paramount Presents line, I just think, why wouldn't you just do it? Why wouldn't you just give this a proper release? Both cuts, all the features, everything remastered. There's nothing to lose. All there is the gain. All there is the gain, because the Warriors fans will come out in a goddamn instant. You tell them they got brand new transfers, both films preserved. They'll be on it all day long. There's nothing to lose on this entire deal. Go for it right now, because the theatrical cut's only available on DVD in the U.S. and a lot of other regions. So, and if you want all the features, you got to get the director's cut of a lot of. I don't know if I've met a goddamn freaking Warriors fan anywhere that prefers the director's cut. I haven't found one. I have not found one. Me and Trent Zabiri did a commentary on the Warriors several years ago. We did the theatrical cut. We had no love for the other version because it just didn't feel right. How they did all these weird comic booky transitions. Just like it felt stylistically wrong, tonally wrong. It just, I understand what Walter Hill was kind of going for, making the film a little bit kind of comic booky in a certain way, but like the doing that, these digital comic book transitions, like it was Ang Lee's Hulk or something, didn't work. And it just, that's the only version that's out on Blu-ray in most regions. It's very sad. So there's no reason not to get the Warriors on a freaking proper Blu-ray or 4K disc. It would sell like living hell. But moving on to 20th Century Fox library of sorts is that, of course, I've got this Laserdisc back here of Strange Days, talking about the Lightstorm Entertainment stuff, because that was a James Cameron production with his wife at the time, Catherine Bigelow. And the fact is that it does have Blu-rays out in Region B, which is Europe. But out several years ago, but that never came to the U.S. It was on Netflix a couple of times here and there many years ago, but you won't find it anywhere anymore. And the only DVD we have stateside is non-anamorphic from the Laserdisc transfer that looks significantly inferior to the Laserdisc. I'll say that. The Laserdisc even got a DTS version. Fantastic sound, I'm sure it does. But it's like, all this stuff is tied up with like True Lies and The Abyss, and it's like, Cameron needs to sign off on something. That's the only reason why we haven't gotten this stuff. There's already a HD version available. They could just port it over, slap it on disc, and send it out there several years ago before Disney was even involved with the picture with 20th Century Fox. So there's something going on with that Lightstorm Entertainment thing to get an approval to move forward on stuff, and it's not happening. One caveat we kind of got is like Point Break, which was also a Cameron Bigelow production, stuff like that. that looks fine on Blu-ray. It looks fine. I think it could look better. I think we could definitely get an upgrade and look a lot bolder and a lot stronger in some places. But it looks all right. It doesn't look bad. But just like Strange Days is such an incredible film. Just kinetic energy. The thing looks absolutely gorgeous. Cinematography is incredible. The cast. Ralph Fiennes, Angela Bassett, Vince D'Onofrio, William Fichtner. You got Tom Sizemore. Just like an incredible stacked cast of just amazing talent. And the thing's just awesome. I love that film to death. And just think it needs that goddamn freaking respect to get it out on the whole thing. So shake things loose here, Cameron. Do some stuff for these freaking titles you have. The Hold On. Get us The Abyss. Get us all this type of stuff. Who knows? But we need this stuff preserved, remastered, and all that type of stuff. So get it up on there, please. But moving over to Warner Brothers stuff here is that we've gotten a little bit of stuff on the Superman front the last couple of years. We got that extended TV cut on Blu-ray. We've got the 4K version of the original film. We need a little extra. I know my friend Oliver Harper. He kind of mentioned recently that HDR grade on the Blu-ray on the 4K Blu-ray disc is not terribly right. They kind of fixed it later on for like HBO Max, and so we're kind of like, we need something here. We need something more to happen. It's like they kind of stopped cold just a couple of years ago. They stopped cold in the tracks, and it was like we need like Superman 2 to get a little representation here, because they have the extended TV version, but it's not been released anywhere, but it exists. And so it'd be interesting to see that, because there's a lot of weird odds and ends that could be definitely scrutinized to a certain degree. It's kind of one of those things like it's a curiosity. It's an indulgence in a certain way. The first film, the 3-hour cut, it ain't great. There's a reason why Stuart Baird chopped all that crap out of there, because it made it a better film. But seeing all this other stuff is interesting for Superman fans to see that all that stuff that maybe was rumored for a long time, here and there and everywhere. But Superman 2 is even more of a curiosity with all the two different cuts and stuff like that between Lester and Donner. I don't see anything else happening Donner cut-wise. Like, even though it really does, it really needs more work. Just on the visual effects front, it just needs some more work in certain places to really bring it up to snuff. But in fact, it was a lot of, just like almost like a rough sketch of the idea of what Donner would have done if he actually been able to finish filming it the way he wanted to. Had it cobbled together from disparate parts and stuff like that, so it doesn't really have the greatest flow overall. Still needs some additional work done to it with like the music and stuff like that here and there. It's a little too much to deal with right now when Donner's not around anymore to give an approval to changes to a film that his name is being put on, stuff like that. But it's just very weird stuff. But it'd be nice to get Superman 2 in 4K and maybe get that extended version. So I think there's enough money to be made. I think Warner Bros. Is always a little gun shy on the Superman stuff. Obviously, the theatrical stuff that they're swirling around now and not really hitting a nail on the head of what to do with it. Well, the back catalog, like they go to a certain degree. They don't go quite as far all the time as you'd like to. So I'd like to see them delve further into that Superman back catalog and give us something special. We've already hit some anniversaries of like Superman 2, and I don't know if they're just going to just do it randomly at some point in time. I don't know shit. But definitely have to talk about some other Donner stuff here in terms of Lethal Weapon, because I think Lethal Weapon 2, 3, and 4 on Blu-ray look absolutely fantastic. There's nothing to worry about there. But the first film still looks a little off. They had original Blu-ray, which is kind of not a great transfer. Then they had like the remastered sort of version that came out when they did the full like 5-disc Blu-ray set. It's like, oh, they upgraded the audio from lossy to lossless, and they gave us a new transfer, but it still looks a little murky. So it looks a little dodgy in places. Like, it really needs a nice fine sheen done to it with a new remaster. So, like, right to this year was the 35th anniversary and they did nothing. I find that a little weird. Because they're very particular about hitting, like, anniversary dates for these 4K releases. Like doing Lost Boys came out the same year, and that's getting the 4K version. And we're hitting Poltergeist getting the 4K version on its 40th anniversary. So, and it's a little weird that they haven't stepped forward and done more Lethal Weapon altogether here. But another thing that's kind of weird is that we're waiting on this Elm Street stuff. We're waiting for an Elm Street upgrade. Because there's been stuff on like the Blu-ray.com forums where there is a certified sort of Shout Factory insiders like, we've asked Warner Brothers about licensing it, and they turned us down. So there's like, well, if you're not going to license it out, what are you going to do with it yourself? Because you seem to just be sitting on it and doing nothing. Because there's a demand for it. It's one of the most popular horror franchises of all time. It will sell. Friday the 13th set sold. The Halloween stuff sold. Even the fucking Omen and the Fly sets sold from Scream Factory. I mean, what are you waiting on? What are you waiting on? I mean, come on. It's just like, it's Nightmare on Elm Street. Pull the trigger and go for it. Give us new transfers. Give us something new. Give us... Because the first film looks nice. It looks nice on Blu-ray. But the sequels, they packed them 2 on a disc. They overly compressed them. They don't look all that great. They need a better treatment. And in fact, I think it was even a bit of a prying type of thing. They had it only kind of like blood from a stone type of thing for Scream Factory to get like the new line Friday the 13th films over to them for the box set. Even then, they only gave them like 2K transfers of certain things. So they had a bit of a stretch going on, that whole thing. They seem to have a bit of a hold. They're a little reluctant on certain things. So like, I don't know what they're planning. As far as we know, they're not planning anything. So it's like, why aren't you planning something? Please give us the box set, because there is an insane demand for it. People want to make these films look the best they can. There's plenty of other unreleased material, like rare material. Like, there's a work print cut and deleted scenes from Freddy's Dead that's not really available anywhere. And there's like a whole bunch. There's like the making of Elm Street 4, the Dream Master, that old VHS and Laserdisc thing. You can find it on YouTube, but it'll be nice to just have all this stuff on a set, because it'll sell. It will sell. There's no doubt about it. It will sell. Put out on a set, nice, good new things, some new transfers, all this type of stuff, new featurettes. I've looked up all the cinematographers from each one of the Elm Street films. It's still around. They can all come in, look at transfers, approve them, and get on them with their days, and have a good thing. Aside from Wes Craven, all the directors are still around to do commentaries. And he already did commentaries with Wes for the ones he directed, so what's stopping you? What's stopping you? I don't know what's stopping you. Robert Englund's still around. He'll kick around. He'll go in for an interview any day of the week. Nothing's stopping you. Keep going for it. Make it happen, Warner Brothers. But also on the front, where my thing flips around here, well, there's all the Warner Brothers stuff I have, but we got to touch on a little Michael Mann stuff here, because there is a StudioCanal rumor. I don't know if it's a rumor. I think they've actually done a 4K version or something like that of Manhunter. But there's no details of it being released just yet. There is kind of things saying that they screened one somewhere at some point in time. They've already done it, but they haven't released it yet. I need Manhunter in a nice new scan, because I still think the HD version doesn't look its best. I think it can look better than it does right now, because I've seen all the DVD transfers, and they're all very different. Some are more vibrant, some are much more washed out, some are soft, some are sharp, all the different spectrum of things. And of course, we got like 4 different versions of Manhunter. There's the theatrical version. Then there's the hybrid cut that was done on the THX Anchor Bay DVD. Then there's the VHS source director's cut, but then there was also the restored director's cut that still used some of that footage. And so it's like, the Scream Factory one was very good in terms of features. It was boatloads comprehensive. But I still think the transfer can look better. I still think it'll look great, because it's such a vibrant looking film. It could pop like hell with HDR grading and look incredible. So it's like, I don't know which version you're going to throw in there. Probably just the theatrical cut. Maybe you put in one of the other cuts as a curiosity or something like that. I don't know what you're doing. But I think it could look good. And I think just the fact that it's kind of a thing batting around, that they've kind of done something, but we haven't gotten a definitive word on anything yet. Let's move forward with it. We need more Michael Mann stuff on 4K, because we're getting Heat, we've gotten Collateral. There are things we could get. I would definitely grab Thief on 4K from Criterion if they got the license for that. Definitely jump on that and a few other things here and there. So, awesome stuff in that regard. But the last thing I'm covering right here is that I love this film. I've talked about it several times. I did a video on it way, like 9 years ago. I've been wanting to do a redux on it. I'm just a little betting around back and forth about being hesitant on that whole thing. But, movie Wolf with Jack Nicholson, Michelle Pfeiffer from director Mike Nichols wasn't a hit. It's owned by Sony. And Sony does incredible jobs. They just do impeccable jobs with their 4K remasters, all that type of stuff. But it's the whole thing is like, when you think about all that stuff they were doing at the time, you got Bram Stoker's Dracula, big fucking hit, Oscar winner, stuff like that, awesome stuff. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, not as well revered, but it still was a hit. It still made money at the box office. And they licensed that out to Arrow. Wolf didn't make money. It bombed. It really bombed. But the fact is that Blu-ray transfer looks bad. It looks bad. Now, the old Laserdisc I have over here was reportedly from an HETV master. That might be the only master that's ever been made for this thing for high definition. So that was like 25 years ago? I don't know. That's like 25 years ago. That's insane. More than that. If that's the same transfer that's been lurking around on DVD and now Blu-ray, that's bad. We need an upgrade. We need something. The fact is, Sony handles, they only do their scans in-house. They don't let anyone else handle their film library. They'll license stuff out, but they will prepare the new transfers and the masters, give them over to whoever they license them to. So as the whole thing's like, if they're not willing to put up the money, we don't get it. And so it's just that things like Wolf is not a big enough cult hit. It's not cult. It's not really a cult classic anyway. It's like there are murmurings around, like people are fans of it, but it's not like Evil Dead or something like that. It's not like that. It's not along those lines where it's like it's going to generate mountains of income because it's not that popular of a film, but I still think it's a really good film. It's very interesting stuff. Even Powerhouse Films was able to do a nice, like 50-minute long documentary that's amazingly insightful, but it still had the old Sony transfer and looks really poor. So it's like, I want this thing to look better. It can look better. It's a good-looking film. Director Mike Nichols, score from Ennio Morricone, effects by Rick Baker. A lot of talent behind the thing, a lot of class. I just think it deserves something. It's like, I keep hoping and hoping, but it's like, I don't see them putting out the money for it. I don't see them doing it. I just don't see them doing it. It's like, it's just outside of reach. If that transfer just looked better, and it doesn't. So it's a little sad for me. It's like, really would like to see it look a whole lot better than it does, but that's something I hope for all the time, and it doesn't seem to be happening. But Lord knows, weirder things have happened. Worse films, more obscure films have gotten 4K transfers, restorations that look gorgeous. So I don't know. Anything's possible. Who knows? But guys, thanks for sitting through this whole thing. I didn't have as much news to give you, so I figured I'd throw this on here. It's like, as it was stirring around in my head, like, do I want to do it? Do I not want to do it? Do I want to do it? Maybe not do it. And I was like, okay, I'll throw it in here and stuff like that. So, like I said, there was like things like The Prophecy or Strange Days. Like, there's not enough to talk about here for like a retro video series. I can't fill up a full episode talking about that, but I can throw it on here as this sort of thing, laid back, casual, kind of like say what I want to have for it and why it doesn't look very good. So that's something. So if you got any things that are like you're desperate to get an upgrade for, they look really bad on some old format, or they haven't got an upgrade in any type of way, or something like, of course, there's always like, again, The Abyss and True Lies, and Terminator 2 needs to look better on 4K, like Living Hell, because it looks really bad, and a lot of other different things. So there's a lot of curiosities out there that I think a lot of you guys would probably share with everyone down below. So let me know about it, guys. So thanks so much, and if you like anything here on the channel, you can always contribute through the Super Thanks feature down below the video here, which you can contribute any amount of money you want. It goes right through YouTube into my analytics and all that type of stuff, and my payouts when I get them. And so that really helps out the channel. If you don't want to go through Patreon, if you find just one thing around here like you really like a commentary or some other retro video series episode or review I do, you can just hit up the Super Thanks thing, give me a little extra cash for supporting the channel and keep things going around here. Really much appreciate it. So be back as soon as I can, trying to get through the goddamn Star Wars video, but it's a lot of freaking work, and I just got to ramp myself up to get it done. So guys, thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.